You think boredom is a problem. You think it means you are behind. You think it means nothing is working. You think it means you are wasting time, that something is wrong, that you should fix it fast, fill it fast, distract yourself fast. But what if boredom is not the absence of movement? What if it is the pause before momentum? What if it is not empty but loaded? What if it is not a wall but a doorway? There is a moment right before everything changes where life goes quiet, not peaceful quiet, uncomfortable quiet, the kind that makes you restless, the kind that makes you doubt, the kind that makes you reach for noise. That moment is not failure. That moment is preparation. It feels like nothing because the old has stopped working and the new has not shown itself yet. You are between versions of yourself, between timelines, between frequencies, and boredom is the signal that the transition has started. Most people never stay here long enough to let the change finish. They panic, they scroll, they chase, they consume. They look for answers outside instead of letting something reorganize inside. Society taught you that stillness is lazy, that if you are not doing, you are falling behind, that productivity equals worth. But that belief was built for machines, not humans. Reality does not shift because you are busy. Reality shifts when your inner state becomes clear, quiet, coherent. The paradox is simple. The quieter your outer life becomes, the louder your inner signal gets. Less stimulation creates more space. More space allows alignment. Alignment is what reality responds to, not effort, not force, not constant action. Think about a seed in the ground. From the surface, nothing is happening. No movement, no proof, no results. But under the soil, everything is changing. Systems are activating. Energy is organizing. Direction is being set. That underground phase is not optional. You cannot skip it. Boredom is that underground phase in your life. It is the space where the old identity dissolves and the new one has room to form. That is why it feels uncomfortable. Your ego hates it. The ego needs stimulation to survive. It needs labels, roles, progress markers. When all of that disappears, you are left with yourself. No distractions, no validation, just awareness. That is where most people run, and that is why most people stay the same. Here is the truth that is rarely said. Your desires are not blocked. You are just not still enough to receive them. The field does not respond to urgency. It responds to clarity. It responds to steadiness. When your energy is scattered across worry and wanting and checking and forcing, the signal is messy. But when you are still, when you stop reacting, when you stop chasing, the signal stabilizes. Boredom forces that stabilization. It strips away the noise. It exposes the programs that have been running you on autopilot. It brings up restlessness because restlessness is addiction to movement. If you can sit with that feeling without fixing it, something starts to reset. There is a moment when nothing external is happening, and yet something inside clicks. Not dramatic, not emotional, just subtle. A shift in how you are present. You are not trying to change anything. You are just here. And in that here, your system begins to reorganize. Your nervous system drops out of survival. Your mind stops looping. Your body stops bracing. This is not spiritual fantasy. This is biology. This is physics. When you are still, your brain activates networks that only turn on at rest. Integration happens. Patterns resolve. Intuition gets louder. When you are still, your body enters repair mode. When you are still, your energy becomes readable. Quantum reality works the same way. Possibility exists in many states at once. What selects the outcome is not effort but observation. Not desperate observation. Clear observation. When your attention is calm and present, the field responds differently than when it is frantic and fragmented. Stillness creates coherence. Coherence allows collapse. That is how reality crystallizes. Not because you pushed, but because you stopped interfering. Boredom removes interference. It takes away the constant input that keeps your system reactive. It gives the field room to organize around you. You have been trained to believe that if you are not doing something, you are wasting time. But some of the most powerful changes happen when you are doing nothing at all. Think about the moments in your life when things finally worked after you stopped caring so much. When you let go and suddenly it showed up. That was not coincidence. That was neutrality. You were no longer pushing against reality or pulling it toward you. You were available. Availability is magnetic. Availability is rare. Boredom trains availability. When you allow yourself to be bored without escaping, you are practicing non-reaction. You are teaching your system that it does not need constant stimulation to be safe. That is huge. Most people are trapped in cycles of seeking because their nervous system associates stillness with danger. Boredom feels like threat because it exposes everything that was being avoided. But if you stay with it, the threat dissolves. What remains is presence. Presence is power. Presence is what the field recognizes. This is where the shift actually begins. Not when you visualize harder. Not when you affirm louder. But when you stop needing proof that something is happening. The need for proof is resistance. It says, I do not trust the process. When you are bored and you stay anyway, you are practicing trust at the deepest level. You are saying, I do not need stimulation to feel alive. I do not need control to feel safe. I can be here with what is. That statement alone changes your frequency. People who seem to manifest effortlessly are not constantly doing more. They are reacting less. They have trained themselves to sit in the unknown without panicking. They do not rush the silence. They let it work on them. They know that stillness is not empty. It is active in ways you cannot see yet. Less noise means more signal. Less movement means more alignment. This is not about quitting action. It is about letting action come from clarity instead of compulsion. Now something important happens when boredom deepens. You enter neutrality, not excitement, not high energy. Neutrality. This is the most misunderstood state and the most powerful one. Neutrality is when you are no longer swinging between hope and fear, wanting and doubting, pushing and resisting. You are simply present. Your emotional pendulum stops. And when it stops, reality has something solid to respond to. Neutrality removes distortion. It cleans the signal. That is why things often show up when you least expect them. You stopped interfering. When you are bored, your nervous system is not being hijacked by pleasure or pain. You are not chasing dopamine. You are not reacting to threat. You are simply here. That state allows your system to reset. It allows old identities to loosen. It allows new patterns to form without force. The discomfort is not a sign that nothing is happening. It is a sign that something old is dissolving. If you interrupt that process, you reset the cycle. If you stay, the process completes. Think of boredom as a training ground. Every time you feel the urge to escape and you choose to stay, you are strengthening a new pattern. You are teaching yourself that you do not need constant input to exist. That changes everything. Because once you stop reacting to the old reality, you stop feeding it. And what you stop feeding loses power. What you stop reacting to dissolves. That is how timelines collapse. Not by fighting them, but by starving them of attention. There is a point where you stop trying to make something happen and something happens. That point is surrender. Not giving up. Surrendering control. Control is based on fear. Surrender is based on trust. Boredom pushes you toward surrender because there is nothing to control, nothing to fix, nothing to chase. Just being. And being is the state where creation actually occurs. Now, let us make this practical. You do not need a complicated ritual. You need space, real space. No phone, no background noise, no task waiting. Sit somewhere and let yourself be bored on purpose. Do not meditate. Do not visualize. Do not try to relax. Just sit and observe. Notice the urge to move. Notice the thoughts that say this is pointless. Notice the discomfort. Do nothing about it. This is the work. Observation without reaction. As you sit, something will happen. Your mind will slow. Your body will soften. Not all at once. In waves. Thoughts will come and go. Emotions may surface. Let them, do not follow them. Do not label them. Just watch. This is how you exit the old loops. Every loop needs attention to survive. When you remove attention, the loop weakens. Boredom removes attention from old patterns. Over time, your system learns a new baseline. Calm is no longer boredom. Calm becomes safe. Silence becomes familiar. And from that place, clarity emerges. Ideas appear without effort. Decisions feel obvious. Opportunities align without chasing. Not because you forced anything, but because you became readable to the field. Your signal stopped fluctuating. It stabilized. This is where manifestation becomes natural. Not something you do, but something that happens around you. You are no longer asking reality to change. You are allowing it to respond. That is a big shift. Most people never experience it because they never stop long enough. They fill every gap. They avoid every pause. They run from boredom like it is an enemy. But boredom is an invitation, an initiation. You are not behind. You are not stuck. You are not failing. You are in the pause where the recalibration happens. This phase is invisible from the outside. That is why it feels lonely. That is why it feels uncertain. But invisibility does not mean inactivity. Some of the most important work happens where no one can see it, including you. There is a reason breakthroughs often follow periods of restlessness and nothingness. The system needs space to reorganize. The mind needs quiet to hear something new. The field needs a stable signal to respond. Boredom creates all three. It is not a punishment. It is preparation. The next time you feel bored, do not label it as bad. Label it as active stillness. Stay with it a little longer than you want to. Let the discomfort pass without fixing it. Watch what happens. You may not see fireworks, but you will feel a subtle shift, a groundedness, a clarity, a sense that something is lining up, even if you cannot explain how. This is the hidden power of boredom. It teaches you how to stop forcing, and when you stop forcing, everything starts to move. Not because you pushed, but because you got out of the way. Reality does not need your constant effort. It needs your presence, your trust, your availability. Stillness is not the absence of creation. It is the frequency of it. When you learn to rest there without fear, you become magnetic, not loud, not busy, but aligned. And alignment changes everything. There is a point where boredom deepens into something else. At first it feels like restlessness, then it feels like emptiness, and then if you stay a little longer, it turns into awareness. Not sharp awareness, soft awareness, the kind that is not trying to understand anything, just noticing. This is where most people get scared and leave, because the mind wants purpose. The ego wants direction. It wants a task. But this space has none of that, and that is exactly why it is powerful. When there is nothing to hold on to, your system starts to reset itself naturally. This is the phase where old emotional patterns surface. Thoughts you did not know were running you come up. Doubts, old fears, impulses to distract. This is not regression. This is detox. Your system is clearing noise. Boredom brings everything to the surface because there is no longer anything covering it. If you interrupt this process, you keep carrying the same patterns forward. If you stay, the patterns lose energy. They cannot survive without attention. Here is something important to understand. The discomfort of boredom is not caused by nothing happening. It is caused by too much happening internally without an outlet. You have been trained to discharge every sensation through action or distraction. When that outlet is removed, the system has to process instead of escape. That processing is what leads to growth. It is not flashy, it is quiet, but it is permanent. Your nervous system plays a huge role here. When you are constantly stimulated, your body stays in a subtle state of alert. Even if you think you are relaxed, you are not fully settled. Boredom removes stimulation. That forces the nervous system to downshift. At first it resists, it looks for threat, it creates restlessness. But if you do not respond, the system learns a new truth. Stillness is safe. Silence is safe. Nothing happening is safe. That learning changes your baseline state. Once your baseline shifts, your perception changes. You stop scanning for problems. You stop anticipating lack. You stop bracing for the next thing. This alone changes what you experience, because reality reflects your dominant state, not your occasional effort. A calm system sees different options than a stressed one. A settled system attracts different outcomes than a frantic one. This is why forcing never works long term. Forcing comes from tension. Tension distorts your signal. You might get short-term results, but they do not last, because the underlying state has not changed. Boredom changes the underlying state. It rewires how you exist in the world. That is real transformation. As boredom continues, something subtle happens. Your identity loosens. You are no longer defined by what you do every minute. You are no longer proving your worth through movement. This can feel scary because the ego equates stillness with disappearance. But you are not disappearing. You are expanding beyond a narrow self-image. You are no longer just the one who reacts. You become the one who observes. Observation is powerful. When you observe without immediately responding, you create space. In that space you gain choice. Choice is freedom. Most people think freedom comes from options. It does not. It comes from pause. The pause between impulse and action. Boredom trains that pause. This is where manifestation shifts from effort to alignment. Instead of constantly asking, how do I get this, you start asking, who am I being right now? And often the answer is, I am calm. I am present. I am not chasing. That beingness sends a clear signal. The field responds to clarity, not urgency. You may notice during this phase that you care less about outcomes, not because you gave up, but because you are no longer gripping them. This is a sign of neutrality. Neutrality is misunderstood. It is not apathy, it is balance. It is emotional steadiness. When you are neutral, you are not pushing against reality or pulling it toward you. You are allowing it to meet you. Many people accidentally manifest when they stop caring. They think it is luck. It is not. It is physics. They stopped interfering. Boredom teaches you how to stop interfering on purpose. It teaches you how to let go without collapsing into distraction. There will be moments when you think nothing is changing. This is where trust is tested. The deepest shifts do not announce themselves. They happen below the surface. Your job is not to measure progress. Your job is to stay present. Measurement pulls you back into effort. Presence keeps you aligned. As you stay with boredom, you will notice your thoughts slow down. Gaps appear. Those gaps are important. In those gaps, intuition speaks, not loudly, quietly, as a knowing, as a sense, as clarity without reasoning. This guidance was always there. It was just drowned out by noise. You may also notice that your desires start to change. Some things you thought you wanted lose their charge. Others feel more true. This is not loss. This is refinement. Boredom strips away conditioned wanting and leaves what is real. When you move from real desire instead of programmed desire, manifestation becomes smoother. There is less resistance because you are no longer trying to force something that is not aligned. There is also a moment where boredom turns into peace, not excitement. Peace, a grounded calm that does not need anything to happen. This is a powerful state. From here, action becomes clean. When you act from peace, you do not overdo. You do not second guess. You do not chase validation. You move when it is time and rest when it is not. Life becomes simpler. This middle phase is where most of the work happens. Quiet work, invisible work, identity work, nervous system work, signal work. It does not look productive from the outside, but inside everything is rearranging. If you quit here, you return to the old cycle. If you stay, you cross a threshold. The key is to stop labeling boredom as a problem. Stop asking how long this will last. Stop trying to use boredom to get somewhere else. Let boredom be complete. Let it do what it is designed to do. The moment you stop resisting it, the moment you stop trying to turn it into something else, it transforms. You are not meant to be stimulated all the time. You are not meant to be chasing all the time. You are meant to oscillate between action and stillness, creation and integration, expression and silence. Boredom restores balance. It pulls you back to center. If you are in this phase right now, nothing is wrong. You are not late. You are not missing anything. You are exactly where recalibration happens. Stay a little longer. Do not rush the silence. It is reorganizing you in ways effort never could.